Morning. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, or to make it simple, good day, as it works for everyone wherever you are in the world. I am Chams Diagne, co-founder and CEO at Talent to Africa. I am super excited to welcome you to this great event. Today, we will explore together ways artificial intelligence can unlock opportunities for all size companies to identify and attract the best talent. And also we will discuss about winning strategies still through AI to help mitigate the risk of attrition. So just a few words about myself. It's always very difficult to talk about myself, but let me try. I am a serial entrepreneur. Have over 20 years experience in Europe and in emerging countries. So I've started my career in France. I'm one of the Viadeo.com co-founder. Viadeo were the second largest professional network in the world, right after LinkedIn, and I had this opportunity to run Viadeo's operations across Africa, and this is, it has been the way for me to get in touch with many employers, many companies, and it helps me a lot to have a good understanding of challenges faced by companies in Africa in attracting and retaining talent. As everybody knows, more than 20 million Americans quit their jobs in the latter half of 2021, leaving many companies struggling to find talent to refill their ranks. Today we know that if we look at the American job market, more than 12 million jobs openings, which is about 5 million more than unemployed workers as of March 2022. So job seekers certainly have the upper hand, and they are demanding more from future employers. You will understand why we take this example of the United States, because it's very interesting compared to what is going on in Africa. So job seekers aren't only looking for higher pay and better workplace benefits. They have also lost patience with ever cumbersome hiring processes. They know that they are in demand, and they want to see that employers recognize their value. So creating a hiring process that is positive experience for candidates to foster a good relationship from the start. The main question was asking yourself is the following. Is your hiring process causing you to lose future talent? This is critical, and every company should ask, should think about this question. Finding out whether someone is a good fit for your company might take a little time, for sure, but you could lose candidates to companies with faster hiring times if you drag your feet too long. The average time to hire includes multiple interviews and lasts around 43 days all over the world, talking about the global scale. However, 62% of working professionals says they lose interest 2 weeks after an initial interview if they haven't heard back. Okay, so to help prevent this, we look for ways to speed up the hiring process and eliminate wasted time. On the other hand, businesses everywhere, this is beyond the States, we're really talking again from a global perspective. Businesses everywhere are losing employees to higher paying, culturally attractive positions and more. And any company slow to the trend of adopting innovative strategies for retention is really hurting. So artificial intelligence has really improved processes in both sides, attracting and retaining talent. And this is what we are going to talk about today together. So I am very, very, very pleased to welcome our guest speakers. I will start with Mr. Kalejaile. So our guest speakers are in different countries. So as you see, Mr. Kalejaile is in Nigeria. He is, let me start. All right. So Mr. Olatunde Kalejaile is Executive Director, Finance Strategy and Administration at GRACECO Limited. He holds a Bachelor of Science degree, Computer Science, from Obafemi Awolowo University, Nigeria, and Master's degree in Information Security at the University of London Royal Holloway. Before joining GRACECO, Olatunde worked as an IT architect in several FTSE 100 companies. At GRACECO, he is responsible for managing the financial performance of the company and driving the strategic and digital transformation plan. Mr. Kalejaile, welcome to this great event. We are very excited to have you today.
Yeah, good morning. Happy to be here.
Great. So our second guest speaker is Mr. Francisco Marin. Francisco Marin is currently sitting in San Francisco, Silicon Valley. So Francisco has a mission to help companies unleash the power of organizational networks. He is passionate about people, analytics, and decentralization, focusing on organizational network analysis, commonly called ONA, and decentralized autonomous organizations, DAOs. Okay, so he has more than around 10 years of experience in people analytics, with a focus on AI-powered organizational network analysis. He lived and worked in Europe, Asia, Middle East, Africa, and North America, and he is currently based in San Francisco, where he's running his company named Cognitive Talent Solutions. So Francisco, welcome to this great event. We are very happy to have you.
Hi, Chams. Great to be here.
Great. Excellent. So we are going to have the discussion I just talked about. We will start with the adoption of AI in talent sourcing, talent attraction across Africa and beyond. Because today, when we talk about talent, it's really something which is global. We're talking about a global perspective. Then after that, we will explore ways in leveraging AI to identify and retain talent in the workspace. So Francisco will tell us a lot about that, and will even make a demo so we can see concretely how we can leverage AI to retain talents in the workspace effectively through artificial intelligence and ONA, as we just talked about. And after that, we will use Mr. Kalejaile's company as a case study, because for us it's very important to see exactly what is the impact in a company. And of course, Nigeria is the biggest market in Africa, and we are very glad to have Mr. Kalejaile, who's going to tell us how things worked in his company and how he managed to retain top talent through this technology, which is really effective. It's not only theoretical, it's really effective, and that is what we are going to talk about. And then, of course, everyone will be able to ask questions, and we will be very happy to respond and to have a very interactive, conversation together. All right. So let me start with the talent attraction side. So I will share my screen. Maybe Jocelyn was on the backstage. Will probably display or let me display my screen, maybe a bit easier. All right. Share my screen. All right. So yes, so there are many ways. AI is really effective and useful in the talent attraction process. So we will explore together eight really very positive impact AI is really helping in attracting talent. So the first topic is AI streamlines the recruiting process. AI can make recruiting a seamless, smooth action. It can expedite the recruiter's communication through automated interview confirmations email, so they have time to actually build relationship with the candidates. This can help them to save and fill position more quickly. It can also screen and rank candidates faster, as well as decrease bias through it really depends on how it has been programmed and by whom. This is extremely important. We know as recruiters that really recruiting, anyone can hire finally. Today, when you look at what is really going on, anyone is able to do that. But we know that it's really time consuming. And us as professionals in recruitment, we are really exploring every day ways to shorten the time, because we know that it's really critical, very important to make it fast, easy for everyone. We are somewhere on the middle, and we are managing the relationship with the clients. We are managing the relationship with the candidates, and we are managing also the time, the processes to make sure that everything is smooth and easy for both sides. So this is really extremely important. The processes need to be very smooth and very easy. And thanks to AI, human resources get augmented, and this is really a very positive effect we have in our daily work in attracting talent for companies wherever they are in the world. Number two, AI can screen for suitable candidates. So this is also really helpful, as AI is really a very good solution in screening applicants for suitable talent on social media, such as LinkedIn or job boards or very niche job boards, depending on the job, you know, the GD and the requirement for the position. And AI-based screening is algorithm-driven and easy to repeat. This means recruiters' added value for companies and job seekers lies less in the keyword searches and more in their ability to confirm talent offline. And we strongly believe this is extremely important too. We strongly believe in this combination in both human and software to really be efficient and work the best way possible to make this match happen. AI can remove unconscious bias. This is also very important today in this world. Every company is aware about diversity and inclusion. Artificial intelligence is set up correctly and can really remove that, because it's not as human, because we can be influenced in a way or another. It is not the case for AI. AI doesn't care about names, location. They really focus on the most important things based on the GD, based on the requirement, and this is really helpful in avoiding discrimination factors, and this will make hire more equal, and there is less time consuming in the process, which is very important. But it's emphasized to be placed on setting the inclusion and exclusion criteria up fairly. So really, we can definitely rely on algorithm to help us in screening without taking into consideration information that are not really correlated to what are the real expectations from the company. AI pulls also better resumes because it can really help in the recruiting process simply. Sorry, because it can heavily lifting and pulling better resumes. AI can search for candidates who don't even know they are looking for a job. This is very funny, but it's very interesting in a way that we consider, the professional world as let's say, a talent pool. And using AI is the best way to make sure that for every role, you are going to trying to get in touch with the best talent can fit the role wherever they are in the world. And this is really, really, really helpful because where human is going to take, long time to make sure they cover the world, AI can do that without effort, without, it's not difficult for AI because we talk about a machine where human has his limits. And the combination of both is really interesting. So we use AI to focus the attention of employees as they won't have time to spend in to share some information that could be useful at the beginning of the process. And thanks to AI, we can collect information and then, of course, do the work to make sure that the screening is done the best way possible before introducing these candidates to our clients. AI offers a more dynamic view of candidates. This is also very interesting in the way that it can scan complementary skills and achievements that are outside of the set skills set required for a role. This can offer a dynamic view of what can be achieved within a role or function with a particular candidate. Collating assessment data into the mix will create a more robust profile to review, because we're talking about, when it comes to comparing candidates, it's the more you have visibility on every candidate, the better, because you have a real 360 view on everyone, and it's easier for Number 6, AI can ensure candidate meet specific requirements. AI can help finding the absolute minimum that you need in terms of hard skills. It can also pass and find proficiency in software programs, technology skill sets, and other highly specific needs in resumes. But AI has problems discerning the human emotional intelligence issues. This is something I think the scientists are working on, and there are lots of improvements these last years. But I don't believe, and nobody I'm sure here believes, that AI can replace totally human. So the combination of both is really, really, really interesting, because it's the best way to make the hiring decision process efficient and fair and very effective for any company willing to hire. So number 7, AI proper human oversight can screen application. So while AI can assist in streamlining the screening of applicants, we need to be very cautious about the biases that may be built into AI algorithm. We need to remember that there are trade-offs when it comes to the efficiencies of machine learning, and we need to provide oversight and quality control regarding the types of decisions being made based on AI outputs. And number 8, I'm speeding a bit to make sure we're still on time. AI can improve, AI can provide genuine feedbacks to candidates. This is extremely important. We know that because we are we are in the recruitment. We are recruiters, and we know how important it is for candidates. We know how candidates value this. So providing gaining feedback is relatively easy ways for employers to bring unique value to candidates in the interview process. It will likely become a hiring norm in the near future. According to a survey conducted by Talent Board, candidates who receive timely feedback are 52% more likely to engage with an employer again. It was maybe an exception in the last years, but today, regarding the global situation in terms of talent shortage, it will become a mandatory. And thanks to AI, even if human can forget or not do that properly, we can definitely rely on AI to do that on our behalf and to make sure that it is done, and it helps companies to build a great relationship with candidates, even if they are not hired for now. They can be hired later, or they can be clients, or they can be influential. All right. This is really, I think, the 8 effective ways AI is really improving on a daily basis the talent attraction process. I'll be very happy to respond to questions later about this. Now I will be I will pass the baton to Francisco Marin, who will tell us now, once you have the talents on board, right, how you guys are going to make sure that you keep them and you make sure that they grow with your company, and you make sure that they bring value on a daily basis. So Francisco, please tell us how any company can do that, and how AI can really help in this way.
Hi, Chams. Thank you. Really excited to be here today. So quick intro, my name is Francisco. I'm the co-founder and CEO of CTS. We are a people analytics company focused on organizational network analysis. I come originally from Spain. I'm based in California in the United States. And yeah, really happy to be talking today about the ONA and the benefits that it provides when combined with artificial intelligence. So let me actually share the screen, and we can talk a little bit about the way that organizations have been organized for the last few decades. So over the last 1 or 2 decades, formal and rigid hierarchies have been giving way to more fluid and informal networks. This has happened in the context of a generational shift where millennials and Zers are becoming the dominant population in the workforce. But this has also highlighted a number of challenges in talent and change management, specifically around the areas of, for example, who are the right leaders that we should be investing in, or how can we retain key people in the organization? This link as well to the Great Resignation. Or, for example, how can we innovate as fast as we need to stay competitive? And in this context, organizational network analysis, also known as ONA, is addressing these challenges by identifying and understanding informal networks across the enterprise. This is a people analytics method that is already used by 44% of companies in the global market. This is based on the latest report from Mercer. Now, many of these companies are using ONA at the pilot stage, and it's only when combined with artificial intelligence that this technology can be scaled up enterprise-wide across the whole organization and really leverage the value that it provides. This is also the people analytics technique that most people analytics leaders want to learn about based on research from David Green. And organizational network analysis is a very eclectic technology that has multiple case studies across different areas. For example, we can enhance the identification of high potential employees through the informal leadership assessment. So what happened typically in leadership development programs is that we focus on the high performers. but the HR department is very limited when it comes to understanding who are high performers, because often they don't have daily experience working with the candidates that are proposed for the leadership development program. So by combining human capital metrics with social capital metrics, or in other words, considering simultaneously if the candidate is an informal leader and if it's a high performer, we can change the leadership development pipeline by up to 70%. The goal here is to ensure that the people that join the leadership development program are simultaneously high performers and informal leaders. And actually, 2/3 of high performers in the organization are not recognized as informal leaders by their peers. So as far as we have a disconnect between the informal network and the formal leadership structure in the organization, we won't be able to identify the right leaders we should be investing in. And another focus area for ONA is employee engagement and retention. Companies are struggling to onboard new hires effectively, because when we operate with remote or hybrid work models, new employees don't have the opportunity as they had before to have the informal interactions on site. And actually, new hires that join remote environments have around 60% fewer interactions than those new hires that join on site. So in this context, by identifying these informal leaders, we can position them as buddies of these new hires and accelerate their time to productivity, and we can also reduce undesired turnover. We want to focus on the retention of the informal leaders in the organization and those people that are disconnected from the network, but still have strategic skills that we want to retain. And this way we can actually reduce unwanted attrition by up to 50% based on the existing projects. Last but not least, we are operating in an environment where companies have to implement changes on a regular basis, whether it is adopting new ways of working like agile methodologies or hybrid work models, implementing new technologies like CRM, different ERPs, or going through different internal reorganizations. So in this context, if we position the informal leaders as early adopters, only 3% of informal leaders can influence up to 85% of the remaining population and increase change adoption by up to 70%. Think, for example, of cultural ambassadors in culture change, or SAP super users in the context of a SAP implementation. So these are some of the use cases of ONA. I would like to show you a quick example on how the technology looks like. So basically, there are two ways on how we can gather the information for drawing these networks. One is active data sources like online surveys, where we have a number of informal interactions. And in the online survey, people select the colleagues they're interacting with. And some of the interactions we can consider for this type of surveys include sharing information. So who are people that share information with us on a regular basis that we need to do our job? Who we go to when we need technical support, meaning support that requires specialized knowledge, or for example, who we go to when we need personal support in a difficult work-related situation, for example, when we feel isolated, when working remotely, or when we have a conflict with a colleague, or for example, who inspires us within the organization, who is a role model that we look up to. So this is known as active organizational network analysis because it leverages active data sources. And another option is passive organizational network analysis that leverage metadata from collaborative tools like Office 365, Slack, Jira, or GitHub. Our recommendation when doing passive organizational network analysis is not to analyze the data at individual level, only the metadata at team level to protect employees' right to privacy. And then basically this is an example on how an ONA network looks like. So we have a number of nodes that are employees and edges that indicate how people interact with each other. So this acts as an X-ray technology that allows us to see what's happening inside the organization with an unprecedented level of detail. Now, some of these people, as you can see, are central employees, meaning that they are the most influential people in the organization, what we know as informal leaders. Some people are intermediary employees or knowledge brokers, and some people are peripheral employees that are disconnected from the network. When we implement changes, basically, these informal leaders can influence the rest of the organization in a very effective manner. But if the early adopters that we position are peripheral employees, it doesn't matter how hard they try, they won't be able to influence anybody in the organization. Now, when we combine ONA with AI technology, we can do very interesting things. For example, we can understand where are organizational silos and bottlenecks. So for example, if I look at the network of a particular team and I apply AI algorithms, the AI algorithms will highlight automatically what are organizational silos. Here, for example, I see a group of 4 people that are disconnected that has been highlighted by the algorithm. Or here, for example, I see a person, David Walsh, that is potentially acting as a bottleneck, preventing this team over here from interacting with the rest of the organization. This is very useful for organizational design and when implementing new technologies, because we need to consider the internal collaboration dynamics that might not be visible at first sight. And another interesting use case when combining AI with ONA consists in automatically identifying who are the people that are best positioned to be mentors of another person. So for example, when we have a new hire joining the organization, AI can allow us to identify who are the 3 people that are best positioned to be the mentor of that particular person based on metrics like experience, influence, the area where they're working, their number of years of experience. And not only can identify these matches, but also we can automatically introduce these people via email, and the algorithm will make the introduction via email and will also schedule the meeting based on the availability of the mentor and the new employee. This is called peer introduction technology. And this can basically automate the whole process of onboarding, which is a very important challenge that companies are facing nowadays. Then another aspect we want to consider is burnout risk. So when looking at the metadata from tools like Office 365, we can monitor metrics like, for example, the percentage of hours that an employee or a team is working outside working hours and other factors that can contribute to burnout risk and mitigate this burnout risk in a proactive manner. Because especially when working with hybrid and remote work environments, even if there is no transactional work involved, the fact that employees are engaging in the so-called always-on mentality. This means that employees are prepared to get to work even at 6, 7, 8 p.m. And even if there is no transactional work involved, the fact that you know that work can get to you at any time, this is a contributor to burnout risk. And this is something that we need to take into consideration. So hopefully this provided a quick overview of the work and the benefits of organizational network analysis. And now Tunde will be explaining to us how they apply this technology in their company, GRACECO.
Absolutely. Thank you very much, Francisco, for this, this presentation and this demo. So thanks to this, we see exactly how any company can implement this and see the effects, get the benefits from this as soon as possible and in a very effective way. And yeah, it means that you guys have started this in San Francisco. You initially started your business in the United States. Then you started growing in different continents, starting from America, Asia, Europe, and now we are talking about Africa. So Mr. Olatunde is representing GRACECO, which is a very important manufacturer in Nigeria. So Mr. Olatunde, could you please, we would like to learn more from the AI integration journey at GRACECO. We would like to know what are the most challenging areas and also what kind of preparation you wished you could have done before the integration.
Great. Always great listening to Francisco because it brings back a lot of ideas that are not fully explored. But everybody knows Nigeria is unique when it comes to attracting talent, very unique when it comes to retention. So very quickly, we went to bringing guys just coming from university because we found out that a lot of guys don't move down. They don't come from big companies to a company like GRACECO. So you have to bring people from lower up, and they do not have the skill set. They don't know word processing, PowerPoint, basic things. Even to write emails sometimes is a problem. So we had a graduate trainee program, very, very effective. But the problem is we couldn't retain most of them. The bigger companies pulled them away. So we had two challenges at that point in time. One was to retain the talent. And the second one was we had to like reduce the payroll, part of reduce the operational cost. And we didn't really know from our ERP, where the informal leaders were, who were we going to let go, who were we going to retain. And so enter the owner situation. And we got the explanation from our consultant and Francisco on how this can help us. And I have to say it was like it was a monumental shift in the way we did things. We have always been open to technology as a family business. We have in our family constitution that, okay, we're going to employ technology to remove the emotional aspects of retaining talent or letting people go. So you can imagine this exercise. It took us a month because I like some people and my brothers like some people. So how do you remove the emotional bias part of it? So we all agreed that, okay, whatever the AI integration tells us, we are going to have to accept it. Like we had to agree very quickly that work IQ, which is a psychometric test, is very important for GRACECO as well. So if you don't make up to 60, you're not going to be, no matter who likes you, you're not going to be going in there. So I'll talk about the challenges we had in terms of after we adopted the technology and implemented it, is that there's a lack of trust in that AI actually knows people and came up with this model. And so people would challenge that, oh, we have to use some other things. I know this guy. So that's one of the issues very quickly that we saw that people were like not believing that they could actually tell who the informal leaders were. It's a program, it could be fooled. So that's one. But we also know that HR in Nigeria is not really, it's like only maybe 2 in 10 companies have any kind of software automation for HR. So they don't have, to even now go to AI when you're not using software, it's a big step for a lot of people. So, but the results, we kind of have an idea of who the good workers were, but what you don't know is how influential are they to your people. Until you see that graph, and when I saw it now, I remember when you pull it and you pull so many people, you see how influential this person is. So, well, I'll cut this short to say that we were able to develop our retention program based on the results of the survey we did. And also that it was able to also, well, we also had data issues. I'll put it this way. Data is something that it gave us what we wanted, but you needed some more data in terms of our ERP. We're not using it for maybe employee life cycle. So when they come in, training, appraisal, all that, because we needed to know that, okay, the guys that are former leaders, just follow on, are they from a particular school? Is it particular gender, particular age, or, just so that in our own recruitment, we can focus on, okay, the people that we feel gives us the best favor. So for the challenges, we had the trust issue, but we were able to overcome that. And I feel that now we're collecting so much more data so that when we do this again, we will be able to iterate all kinds of scenarios to give us a competitive advantage. I think we need to survive in this environment. I hope that answers some of the challenging questions we had.
Yes, absolutely. It does. And I think it's very interesting because we are talking about Nigeria. We are talking about family business. And we know that when it comes to conducting transformation and mostly digital transformation, this is not something easy. And you talked about it earlier. So I was wondering, what is the average time to hire at GRACECO? Just to have a, we talk about 43 days from a global perspective. What about Nigeria? What about GRACECO?
For GRACECO, we actually shortened the whole thing. So you can come in fresh out of university or a year out of university, just come and take our work IQ test and some basic tests. If you pass, where we put it to. The work IQ is a psychometric test for people that don't know that. So if you get 60, 65, we will hire you. So if we have 5, so we get that pretty quickly, maybe 3 weeks. In fact, we get it so many. In fact, the time of taking the test is what causes a delay. I'm going to meet a lot of people, then they do the test, and a lot of people don't get up to 60. So that's the first cutoff. And then we choose 5. Also, one thing Francisco was talking about, which I now remember, is the mentoring. Because in most organizations, once you bring someone new in, you have the disengaged, toxic staff trying to recruit them. Then you have you trying to make sure they're good staff. So that the process of mentoring, which I didn't really think of, is key. You need to put them with the informal leaders. So when they're going from department to department, you have to make sure you hand them over to informal leaders. They will always say something positive. They will, mentor them in the right way. So that's something I've taken on this as well. So for us, it takes about 3 weeks because we bring new people in. We already have, our processes are already digitized. So we just need smart people to continue the work, because we can't compete with pay with the big players, and we can also retain. We know that it takes about 3 years to actually, maybe 18 months actually to 2 years before our trainees leave. So what we're trying to do with the retention is, how do we keep them for the 3 years or 4 years? Gen Z is very difficult to keep. So the retention program we developed was, okay, by year 3, what do we give them to keep them interested? Year 5, what do we do? Just to try and keep. Yeah.
This is extremely important, because when you look at this new generation, these millennials and all this new generation who are new in the market, the way they see the work, the job, is different from their parents, their grandparents, etc. So they are looking for more than a job. They are looking for more than a salary. They are looking for more than money. They are looking for purpose. And I think you are very exceptional as GRACECO, because this retention program is really something very important to build for any company. And yeah, maybe you could just a quick word about the cost. Is it something very expensive for you to build this retention program, or how you guys manage that aspect of the?
Well, I think the consultant said something very eye-opening. She said, out of all your informal leaders, like the Pareto principle, only 20% actually, do the great work. So, like, why don't focus your plan on the 20%? They're the ones that you want to retain anyway. They're the ones that are positive and can keep the work going. So instead of looking for a program that is going to be good for everybody, it's going to pay everybody. There's some benefits for everyone, but your retention is focused mainly for the people that are high performers, informal leaders that you want to keep. So that made it cheaper. So we also know that being young people, the aspirational is that maybe after 3 years, what they usually want is they want a flat. So we were thinking, okay, why don't we give them 100% of their gross pay year 3? Mm-hmm. So it's something they're going to have to wait to get there. So then year 5, you're looking at young guys, what do they want is probably a car. So how do we, put a process in place for them to buy a car? So that's how it goes on. And, hopefully we'll get to keep 50, 60, 70%. So that's the thinking. But when the big boys come, they'll take them. So there's nothing you can do. Yeah, but you want to make it slower, and they're not going to employ everybody. But with so many people going to Canada now and the UK, maybe they can. I don't know. So
thank you very much. Thank you very much, Olatunde. This is very, very practical and interesting. So as you probably guessed, we started asking questions because we received a few questions before the webinar. So those questions have been asked by some of you. Now let me let me ask Francisco a question that we've also received in advance. So Francisco, do you see any difference in AI adoption rate among African countries compared to the rest of the world? And if so, why? And what do you advise African organizations based on that?
Well, so far I have to say that I'm very positively surprised by how open African companies were to adopt new AI technology. We've been working with GRACECO, we are working with Lilly hospitals in Nigeria, and we're having conversations with various companies. And so far the attitude has been really good. Now, based on research in the industry, there was a recent survey from O'Reilly, and it showed, for example, that 20% of organizations in Africa considered that they were implementing mature AI practices. And this was more or less at the same level than South America and Oceania. Whereas North America, Europe, and Asia had around 30% of organizations that self-reported that they were adopting mature AI practices. So in that regard, it still appears that there is some room for improvement. I think one of the main factors is data privacy, because data privacy is a top concern when implementing AI. And for example, in continents like Europe, you have GDPR, which provides a homogeneous data privacy framework. So if you're a company that is operating in multiple European countries, once you complete the due diligence, you can easily roll out across multiple countries, being compliant with the data privacy law, and that doesn't need to be translated into specific laws at country level. However, in Africa, still many countries have their own data privacy regulation that is not the same than the other countries. So if you have a company that is operating in multiple African countries simultaneously, you have to do the assessment one by one, and this can delay the process of deploying in multiple countries simultaneously. Another factor to be considered as well is the adoption of cloud computing. So in different conversations that I've been having with African companies, some companies still, they prefer to do the implementation on premise rather than on cloud, especially for certain sectors. But in general, this can be an inconvenience for the adoption of AI because many companies operate only on the cloud. And if, for example, you introduce new features in the platform and the solution is on premise, it's very difficult to maintain. But overall, I think there is a great potential for the adoption of AI in Africa, and I'm totally sure that pioneering companies like GRACECO are going to pave the way for other companies to continue to adopt AI in the future. So we are really excited about supporting African companies in this journey through our working organizational network analysis. Okay, great, thank you, Francisco. So maybe just a quick one about Africa. As you know, Africa has a very the youngest population in the world. Okay, more than 70% of the population is less than 25 years old. So do you believe in the combination of both human and software? And could you tell us a little bit about that? Because I think that is something very important to talk about. Because in Africa we have, people to work who are potentially able to work, and maybe there is a fear about AI. So maybe you could share a few words about that before we get maybe a few questions from our participants. Yeah, definitely. I agree completely with what you said earlier. The right way to go is a combination of technology and human work. That's really what achieved the best results. Now, the adoption of AI has to be considered, as I mentioned earlier, in the context of a generational shift, where millennials and Zers are replacing boomers as the dominant population in the workforce, right? And millennials and Zers, they care a lot about the vision of the company, the values of the company, and they are not as comfortable working in rigid hierarchies as other generations. So it's all about how you communicate the adoption of this technology. And for example, when we implement ONA in companies, especially in companies that have a lot of young employees, this is presented as an opportunity to recognize the value that your peers create for you on a regular basis. It's an opportunity for your voice to be heard, right? So leaders in organizations need to do a very good job at communicating why a certain technology is being adopted, and if a certain technology is not contributing to employee experience, it should not be deployed in the first place. And when adopting AI, we need to make sure they respect employees' right to privacy, and that is done in an ethical way. For example, the way we approach this is by not analyzing the digital footprint of employees at individual level, but only at aggregate level. So at team, department, organizational level. And we don't analyze the content of the communications, we only analyze the metadata. So these are some of the practices that company can implement. But overall, it's all really about communication and transparency.
Excellent, excellent. Thank you very much. Now we will see if there are more questions. If you guys would like to ask questions, please raise your hand, and we will allow you to speak directly and ask your question. Sorry. Oh, sounds like there is not many questions, but anyway, let's then go on maybe the other questions we received. This question is about talent attraction, but it's open, so everyone can respond. So we were asking how AI promotion. How is the statement about AI promotion and AI adoption into Africa? So this is an open question. I could start with maybe the way that we see AI in our daily work. At Talent Africa, we know that we are very aware about this time to hire. We know that when clients come to us, in general, it's always urgent, right? And our aim is really to please our client and to make sure we meet their requirements. So everything we do is always urgent. So when we realize that thanks to AI we can do our job, but we can do it better, faster, in a way that our clients are having visibility on the whole process from A to Z. Because compared to what companies have been doing in the previous years, now thanks to AI we can see exactly and we can be informed automatically on the different steps of the process. And I think this is extremely important, because the clients are, they start with sharing GDs and asking us to start working and searching for a specific position. But in general, clients would like to see exactly how things are going and to see the progress, right? So thanks to AI, we are using a system which is helping us to inform the clients automatically without any human touch, right? So to make sure that the process is fully transparent and helping the clients to know exactly where we are at every stage. And the way we promote AI is that way. Thanks to this hiring platform we are using, we know that there are clients who are very reluctant in using platform and going into platform and going through profiles, etc. But now that we see that it's working, we are encouraging our clients to use this machine in a way that they don't necessarily need to come and to connect. They are getting notifications. And these notifications, they can get it on their desktop, on their iPad, on their mobile phones. So at any time, they can check and see exactly where we are on the process. And that is, I think, something very, very important. It's also very important for the recruiters. Today we have a network of recruiters. There are hundreds of recruiters we are working with all over the continent. And those recruiters also need visibility, and they need feedback from the client. So it helps a lot also on that side. Because the most difficult, and sorry, please, if there are some clients here, please bear with me. The most difficult part of our work is getting feedback from you, right? Because once the job is done, we're expecting you guys to get back to us. And we know that the decision process can be very challenging. We were talking about it earlier with with Tunde, who were telling us, thanks to AI, the decision is faster because it's very effective and clear, and AI helps a lot in, avoiding bias. Like, I know someone, or I like someone. It's really something very clear, and decision can be taken in a very easy way. And also on a very collaborative way, which is also very important in the process. So this is how we tackle AI adoption on our end. And I think today we know that there are many startups and scale-ups growing into Africa, and those companies are also using AI to work on a daily basis for local clients, but also for international clients. And thanks to, let's say, this situation now, we know that companies are aware and happy to work with people wherever they are in the work. And this is a new trend also, which is very, very positive for this African youth who are willing to work or set up their own company. Today, the market is really, really, really global. It has been global thanks to internet, but now thanks to this let's say, this new way of thinking. We say in French, the world is a village. And thanks to, all this technology, it's real, it's really real. Any company can work with anyone in the world, and AI helps a lot, I think, in all these processes to facilitate and to make sure the work is done, and to build team spirit and help people working really efficiently wherever they are in the world, even if sometimes it can be difficult due to the time difference. And yeah, Francisco won't I'm sure will agree. But globally, even if you're sleeping, I'm sure, Francisco, AI is keep working for you. So this is a way also to help people really working efficiently from a global perspective. So sounds like we're getting to the end of this webinar. I hope we covered topics that are really interesting and bringing value for the companies, for professionals who are in this meeting. We are totally open to follow up, to respond, and to maybe dig in a little bit some specific topics. So Francisco is reachable. We will share more information following this webinar. Mr. Tunde also is reachable, because I'm sure there are many companies in Nigeria who are curious to see how a company like GRACECO has implemented AI and effect in such way that now decision to hire is faster and more efficient. And also this way of retaining talent thanks to the program they've built. So I think maybe I will let you guys conclude briefly before we close the meeting. Maybe Francisco, just the last words.
Yes, just really excited to have been here today. Again, I think there is a great opportunity for African companies to leverage the capabilities of AI with organizational network analysis and with many other technologies that are applicable across many use cases that are very relevant in the current environment. And yeah, I just wanted to congratulate you and Tunde, because you are doing a great work paving the way for many other companies that are going to be adopting AI in the coming years in Africa. And we are really happy from CTS to be part of that journey. So thanks a lot.
Great. Thank you very much, Francisco. Tunde, a few words before we close?
Yeah, for me, I think the future is coming, I mean, I have arguments all the time about AI and jobs that's going to be redundant in the next 5 to 10 years. But it's like preaching doomsday, so like in Africa, just deploying technologies quickly gives you a competitive advantage, almost like instant, so you have to be open to technology and the new things coming to be able to take advantage of pushing yourself, we say competitive disadvantage now too. So you want to make sure that you're at the forefront, you can retain that, because people will make your business. So I think we should just inquire more and embrace this technology, try it, see what it can do for you, and yeah, wish you all the best. So thank you.
Excellent. We are going to conclude on these words. So I hope everyone understand now how artificial intelligence can unlock opportunities for all size companies to identify and attract best talent, and winning strategies to help mitigate the risk of attrition. So thank you very much for your participation. Unfortunately, we haven't heard you, but we received your questions in advance, and thanks to that, we've been able to respond. So this is the first of a long series. We will get back to you soon for the next topic we will address together. Thank you very much, and have a lovely weekend ahead. Thank you very much, Francisco. Thank you, Tunde. And thank you, Justin, on the backstage, who has managed all of this, and all my team for their support. Thank you very much, and talk to you very soon. Thank you.
Thank you.